Hi guys, and welcome back to Running a Freelance Design Business. My name is Ben Gribbin and this is deciding whether you should work full-time or part-time. So what we're going to be learning in this lesson is whether you should go full or part-time and the benefits and disadvantages for doing so. So deciding whether to freelance full or part-time is entirely down to your own circumstances. There are numerous advantages and disadvantages to both. So we're going to look at some specific pros and cons to help you decide whether you want to do full-time freelancing or part-time freelancing. We're going to help you compare the two together. Now, of course, in some cases, the decision might have been taken away from you. For example, you already have a full-time job and you only have, say, 10 hours per week spare. Or you might have just been made redundant and you've chosen to freelance full-time as a way of getting a new job. So you might be more reliant on freelancing. However, typically most people have the decision whether to do one or the other, and that is often the best option. So we're going to think about if you are able to choose whether you should part-time or freelance full-time. So let's consider the advantages of working part-time first. So then, part-time, what are the pros? Well, you still have a regular wage to be able to fall back on. So why is that an advantage? Well, if, for example, you don't have any clients, it's not a problem because you're already getting an income elsewhere. Also, it gives you a taster of freelancing life. So it gives you experience of working with clients, dealing with invoicing, contracts, all of that without any of the hassle. And also, that means you get extra income. It also is pretty much risk-free because you don't have any ties to your freelancing other than just doing it for enjoyment and the extra income. And it helps you improve your skills, such as your design skills and communication skills with clients. Also, it means that you don't have to worry about the time it takes up because you do have time still to take up hobbies and other personal interests. And because you're not reliant on the income, things like illness are less of a worry. Also, part-time freelancing is a brilliant way of being able to stash up finances for being able to shift full-time freelance in the future. And it also gives you a very realistic kind of experience of freelancing and helps you decide whether you would want to continue to do so. But what are the disadvantages of full-time freelancing? Well, it takes up some, if not all, of your free time, depending on how much you actually work. It can be very stressful when you're juggling so many jobs because you've just got so much different stuff going on at once, and also that might mean that you are then quite tired. It messes up your work-life balance, which is something that maybe you view very important, and also it can be a little bit less productive to be switching between your normal job, especially if that isn't design, to then work in design. It might not kind of be the most efficient thing. It can start to interfere with things like your day job, and also it could be an issue if clients then start to try and contact you during office hours and you're at your own place of work. And another disadvantage is you can't always be contactable. So if you were to be contacted during office hours, you might have to redirect the call to voicemail, and that could then put clients off you because they might think, well, they're just toying with freelancing. It's kind of a little hobby, a little bit of a fun project for them. It could be contrary to your current work contract. If you've signed a contract for the business you currently work for, it could be viewed as anti-competition or legal, so you need to check that out. It might just generally burn you out. You might get fed up of just constantly designing and having to be creative. And also, if you're working from home, which you may well be doing as a part-time freelancer, your family and friends could start to get in the way and mess up your actual productivity. So what about full-time then? What are the pros for full-time freelancing? Well, you can be contacted through normal work hours. That's a big plus for clients because you are an independent contractor. They need to get in touch with you, and that's probably going to be between 9 and 5 o'clock. Now, it's typically viewed as more professional when you're able to do that because then they can get in touch with you, they can email you, they can get you out for meetings all during the week and when it's convenient for them. Because you've got more time, you've got the potential to be able to take on larger projects. And you've also got more time to be able to devote to your own branding. So that means you can work on your portfolio, get a real solid kind of work base set up, and then you can start building a big name for yourself. And in general, you just have more time. So you have more time to develop your business and also more time to search out for clients. And your rates would typically be higher purely because you're working more, you have more expenses and things to cover. So you might view that as a plus. Now your cons, well, you are relying on your income, and that can be a big risk, especially if you fail to meet things like mortgage payments. You don't have a sick pay as a freelancer, there's no health insurance along with it in a lot of countries, so you need to arrange all those, and that could become a problem. Working from home can affect your work-life balance again, and that can be very stressful. If you're working alone, you've got nobody to sound ideas off like you might be used to in your normal day job. And your job may become a bit more mundane. It might not be up to the kind of high creative level that perhaps you had hoped for. Also, you've got more time to fill, which means you're going to have to find more projects, and that might become an issue, as well as having to then charge clients more, higher rates, purely because you've got more expenses. That could become something that puts clients off working with you. And you might get creative block, which isn't normally a massive issue, but if you're working as a freelancer and you rely on your creativeness, then that could become a real big problem. It might burn you out because you're designing all the time, and also again, if you're working from home, family or friends could start to interfere with your productivity. As with any decision, the final choice is entirely up to you. You need to consider your options and think about which is going to best suit you. Can you part-time freelance and work part-time? Can you keep up with the commitment of working full-time hours during the week, but then also freelancing when you get home? Is that going to put you off design in general? You're going to get burnt out. How's it going to affect things like your personal commitments, family life, and your general happiness? Remember that your clients are going to expect the same level of service from any other company. So if they're unaware of your working situation, especially when you're part-time, then you might start getting some negative feedback. The arena that you choose might view part-time freelancing negatively. So perhaps the industry you're working poo-poos it a little bit. On the flip side, freelancing full-time, whilst risky, it does allow you to really dedicate yourself to the business, and that might be a good thing because you can then advance your own career. Freelancing isn't all glamour, you need to remember that, because whilst working from home and having the ability to take breaks, to go outside or go for a walk whenever you like is good, it isn't for everyone. You need to be disciplined and also show self-control, and that applies whether you're part-time or full-time freelancing. So then, in this lesson, we've considered the advantages and disadvantages of working part-time or full-time as a freelancer. We've given you some specific questions that you need to examine yourself and then decide whether working as a full-time freelancer is going to suit you. You're going to need to pick the best situation to suit your own circumstances. So then, your task for this lesson is to consider whether full or part-time freelancing is for you. If you have the choice, then you'll need to think about your options, weigh them up, see how it's going to affect you, see how it's going to affect your family, and see how it's going to affect your commitments. Thanks guys, and next time on how to run a freelance design business, we'll be looking at this topic. Thanks for watching.